Hey there, welcome back to Dating Older Women. Let's dive straight in. Here's a truth most men never hear. Women don't sleep with men for the reasons you think. It's not always about looks, status, or even money. The real reasons are deeper, hidden beneath the surface. Once you understand them, your whole approach to relationships changes. Maybe you've been with a woman who seemed hot one moment, then distant the next. Or maybe you've wondered why she chose a man who didn't seem better looking, richer, or more successful than you. Most men just shrug and say, women are confusing, but that's an excuse. The reality is women are guided by 4 powerful motives that go far beyond what's visible. And here's the kicker, these motives aren't random. They're rooted in psychology, biology, and the emotional wiring that drives her choices. Once you can recognize them, you stop guessing and start leading. You'll understand why she responds the way she does, why desire spikes or fades, and how to create deeper connections than mere chemistry. This isn't about tricks, it's about clarity. Understanding these hidden reasons prevents you from wasting years chasing the wrong signals and helps you build connections that actually last. By the end of this video, you'll know what really pulls women into intimacy and how to align with it. Let's get into it. Number 1. Physical desire isn't the whole story. Most men grow up thinking one simple idea. Women sleep with men because they're physically attracted. She likes his looks, his body, maybe his style. That's it. But here's the reality. Physical desire is just one piece, and not even the biggest one. If you think it's the whole story, you miss the deeper forces that truly drive intimacy. Let's make it real. David, 54, from Chicago, recently divorced, started dating again. He met Laura, 51, who seemed warm and interested. At first, David assumed attraction came from hitting the gym, looking sharper, and presenting himself as youthful. But Laura's attraction didn't spark just because of his looks. What shifted things was his calmness, humor, and ability to listen without judgment. She later said, "It wasn't your appearance that drew me in, it was how at ease I felt with you." For David, this was eye-opening. Research shows physical attraction sparks curiosity, but it rarely seals the deal. Her body notices you first, but her mind and emotions decide what comes next. Curiosity, novelty, and timing all shape desire. Unlike men, whose physical drive tends to stay consistent, women's desire shifts with cycles, stress, and emotional tone in the relationship. This is where most men fail. They double down on looks, gifts, or superficial charm, while ignoring the subtle signals that create real intimacy. A woman might find you handsome but feel no urge to sleep with you if she doesn't trust you or feel safe around you. On the flip side, a man who isn't her type can still spark desire if he engages her on multiple levels. The Stoics had a point here. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Applied here, it means your internal state shapes how she experiences you. If you're anxious, needy, or desperate, she feels it, even if you look good. If you're grounded, calm, and confident, that amplifies any physical attraction already present. Think back to David. Staying fit mattered, but what set him apart was how he carried himself. Laura saw a man who wasn't chasing approval, and her attraction grew. Here's the truth. Physical desire is real, but it's fragile. It fades quickly without emotional safety, connection, or the excitement of novelty. Once you understand this, you stop obsessing over looks and start focusing on presence, calmness, and leadership, qualities just as seductive as a six-pack. So next time you think attraction is only about looks, remember that's just the spark. The flame needs fuel, and that comes from more than your body. If you've ever noticed attraction go deeper than looks, drop a comment below. I know the truth. Here's the key. Once you see that physical desire is only the start, you'll understand the hidden forces that truly keep intimacy alive. And those hidden forces lead us to number 2. Emotional safety unlocks intimacy. Here's something most men miss. For a woman, intimacy doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts in her mind and emotions. Without emotional safety, nothing else works. You can be handsome, rich, or charming.
But if she feels tension, judgment, or pressure, her desire evaporates. Emotional safety means she can be herself without fear of criticism or rejection.
It means she knows sharing her thoughts, vulnerabilities, or insecurities won't be used against her. That foundation allows desire to grow naturally instead of being forced. And that's the first step toward understanding what truly drives women. Think about this. Many men approach intimacy like it's a transaction. They assume that if they do something nice, show enough interest, or set the right scene, she should respond physically. But women don't work that way. For them, the emotional tone sets the stage. If she feels safe, respected, and valued, her body follows. If she doesn't, she shuts down. The Stoics captured this perfectly. Seneca wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." For women, that's especially true in relationships. Her imagination, her sense of safety, care, or exposure can unlock her desire or shut it down instantly. When you provide calmness, consistency, and emotional stability, you quiet that fear. This is why arguments, insecurity, or constant pressure backfire so badly. A woman may still love you, but if she doesn't feel safe, she withdraws. On the other hand, if she trusts you, knows you won't explode in anger or drown her in neediness, intimacy flows almost effortlessly. It's important to see that emotional safety isn't weakness. It doesn't mean being overly soft or submissive. In fact, it's the opposite. Emotional safety comes from strength, the strength to control your reactions, stay calm under pressure, and lead with steadiness. A man who loses his temper or doubts himself makes a woman feel unstable. A man who remains centered gives her the security she craves. That's why women often say they want a man who makes them feel safe. They're not just talking about physical protection, they mean emotional steadiness. They want to know that when life gets messy, you won't fall apart. And they want to know your frame is strong, and when they sense that, intimacy becomes natural. Here's the takeaway. If you want a woman to truly open up, focus less on what you can get and more on the environment you create. Speak less. Listen more. Don't rush her emotions. Don't push her pace. Let her see that her feelings are safe with you. That's when she begins to connect deeply. And here's the surprising part. Once emotional safety is established, her physical desire often rises. When her mind is at ease, her body follows. It's not manipulation, it's psychology. So ask yourself, are you creating a space where she feels safe, or are you letting impatience sabotage intimacy? If you've realized the power of emotional safety, leave a comment. I protect her peace. Here's the truth. Once you see that intimacy begins with emotional safety, connection itself becomes the glue in a relationship. When safety is present, connection deepens naturally. And that leads us to the next hidden force. Number 3, connection strengthens through touch. Many men underestimate how powerful touch really is. They think it's only about sex. But for women, physical contact goes far beyond the bedroom. Touch communicates safety, closeness, reassurance, and love in ways words often can't. When you understand this, intimacy stops being just an act and becomes a language. Take Mark, 56, from Texas. After years of marriage, he and his wife, Ellen, 54, had drifted into a routine. They still loved each other, but something felt distant. Mark assumed it was just the natural slowdown with age. Then Ellen said, "You hardly hold my hand anymore. You don't hug me like you used to." For Mark, it was a wake-up call. It wasn't about sex. It was about connection. The small touches that once came naturally had faded, and so had the spark. This is common. Women see touch as a signal of closeness, a hand on her back, an arm around her shoulder, even brushing her hand across the table. These gestures show she's valued and desired. When touch is consistent, it reinforces emotional safety and keeps intimacy alive. When it disappears, she starts to feel taken for granted. Research backs this up. Long-term couples who maintain frequent, non-sexual touch report higher satisfaction and deeper connection. It's not intensity that matters, it's consistency. For women, small gestures often mean more than you imagine. Mark learned this. He began hugging Ellen when he came home, holding her hand in public, even touching her arm during conversation. It wasn't forced. It was simply reintroducing what had been lost. Slowly, Ellen opened up more, smiled more, and even initiated intimacy more often. For her, touch was the bridge back to connection. You can't ignore physical presence. A woman may forgive words or mistakes, but she feels the absence of touch deeply. Without it, she wonders if she's still loved, attractive, desired. With it, she feels secure and close, even in silence. If you've seen how small, consistent touches transform connection, leave a comment below. Share your experience with creating closeness through presence and touch. It's also important to understand that touch builds momentum. For women, intimacy often starts outside the bedroom. When she feels closeness in daily life, she's more open to deeper intimacy later. But if touch is missing all day, expecting her to suddenly be passionate at night is unrealistic. Here's the thing, touch doesn't have to be grand or dramatic, it just has to be genuine. A gentle kiss on the forehead, a squeeze of her hand, or resting your hand on her knee while sitting together. All of these little actions carry more weight than men realize. So ask yourself, are you using touch to build connection, or has it slipped into the background? If you understand touch is more than physical, write this in the comments. I build connection. And remember, once you master touch, you'll see how connection itself transforms. But connection isn't the only hidden force. Another one quietly influences a woman's decisions in ways most men never see coming. That's exactly where we're heading next. Number 4. Social pressure shapes her choices. Here's something many men forget. Not every time a woman sleeps with someone comes from genuine desire. Sometimes it's about social pressure. Society has spoken and unspoken rules that shape her decisions. Family expectations, cultural norms, friends' opinions, even silent judgment. All of these can influence her more than you realize. Think about it. A woman may feel she needs to appear normal in her friend group.
If her circle is more adventurous, she might go along just to fit in, even if she's not fully comfortable. Or she may have been told by family or culture that intimacy equals proof of commitment. She might cross lines earlier than she naturally would. It's not always about her attraction to the man. It's about the invisible weight pressing on her. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus said, "If you wish to be free, do not wish for things that are not in your control." Social expectation is often outside her control. Women are raised in systems that tell them what's acceptable, shameful, or valuable. Sometimes they internalize those voices so deeply that they forget to ask what they really want. This is why you'll see women choose intimacy, not from desire, but to avoid conflict. She may fear being judged as cold or unloving. She may feel she has to keep pace with others or meet expectations just to avoid being labeled difficult. That's pressure.
Most men misread the signals. They think she said yes, so she must want it. But desire driven by pressure isn't the same as genuine intimacy. It often leaves her feeling detached or resentful, which can harm the relationship. What looks like closeness may actually create distance. If you value long-term connection, pay attention to whether her choices come from authentic desire or social influence. Is she acting because she wants to, or because she feels she has to? That difference determines whether connection deepens or erodes. The lesson isn't to criticize women for being influenced. Men are influenced too, by peers, culture, unspoken rules. The difference is, men often underestimate how strongly these forces shape women's choices. When you recognize it, you stop misreading compliance as attraction and start looking deeper. So what's the role of the Stoic man here? It's simple. Be the steady frame that doesn't pressure her.
Show her she doesn't need to perform or meet expectations. Give her space to act from genuine desire. That's when intimacy becomes real, not forced. This awareness will save you countless frustrations. You'll stop wondering why she pulled away after a night that should have brought you closer. Without true choice, there's no true intimacy. Ask yourself, are you creating an environment where she chooses freely or responding out of pressure? If you've realized how powerful social influence is, write in the comments, I see the pressure. Here's what matters. Understanding social pressure shows you that genuine connection requires more than removing outside influence. It requires tapping into something deeper, something that fuels desire naturally. That's where we're headed next. Number 5. Curiosity and novelty fuel attraction. Here's a truth most men underestimate. Women are wired to respond to curiosity and novelty.
It's not that they're fickle, it's that the female brain lights up when something is new, unpredictable, or slightly mysterious. That rush of dopamine creates excitement, and excitement often turns into attraction. Let's make it real. John, 58, from Colorado, had been casually dating after his divorce. He met Michelle, 53, a teacher single for a few years. At first, things felt casual. Dinner, conversation, the usual. But John noticed something. When he broke routine, like suggesting a spontaneous weekend drive into the mountains or cooking a dish she'd never tried, Michelle's energy shifted. She leaned in more, laughed more, and her attraction toward him grew. For her, it wasn't just John, it was the novelty he introduced into her life. This is powerful psychology. Women often connect new experiences to new emotions. When you're the man creating those experiences, she links the feelings to you. This doesn't mean you need constant reinvention. It means avoiding predictability. If every interaction is the same, she subconsciously checks out. But small doses of freshness, surprises, or little sparks keep desire alive. Think of it like music. Variety in the melody keeps her engaged, even if the song itself is familiar. Curiosity and novelty create emotional excitement that draws her closer. If you've noticed how small surprises and new experiences boost attraction, leave a comment. I keep it fresh. And remember, understanding this principle helps you maintain desire without trying to be someone you're not. Even the best song gets boring if it's on repeat every day. But add a remix, a change in rhythm, and suddenly it feels exciting again. Relationships work the same way. Women don't crave chaos, but they do crave a sense of movement, curiosity, and the unexpected. Here's the catch. Novelty has to come from authenticity. If you're faking interest just to impress her, she'll notice. But if you're genuinely curious about life, trying new restaurants, exploring ideas, embracing new experiences, she feels that energy and wants to share it with you. For John and Michelle, it wasn't expensive trips or flashy gifts that created attraction. It was a man showing he wasn't stuck in routine, that he could bring something fresh into her world. That kept her guessing, engaged, and made intimacy feel alive. Many men make the mistake of falling into predictability too fast. They think stability means repeating the same script every day. But stability doesn't equal boredom. You can be solid in your values while still being playful and creative in how you live. That balance of steady strength plus novelty is magnetic to women. So here's the takeaway. If you want to fuel attraction, don't just rely on what you already know. Explore, expand, and invite her into that journey. Let her feel that being with you is not just safe, but exciting. If you've ever noticed curiosity sparking desire, write this in the comments. I keep it fresh. Remember, novelty keeps her engaged, but stability anchors her long-term desire. Put those together, and you become unforgettable. And that brings us to the next truth most men miss. Number 6. Stability makes her body respond. One of the most overlooked truths about female attraction is this. Stability is sexy. not flashy or attention-grabbing sexy, but the deep, grounding presence that makes a woman's body relax and respond almost unconsciously. When a man is stable emotionally, mentally, and even financially, he radiates something women can't ignore: safety. And safety is the foundation of intimacy. Without it, she stays guarded. With it, her body naturally opens, desire rises, and connection flows. Think about it. A woman worried about your moods, finances, or ability to handle life will never fully let go. She may spend time with you, but she won't surrender to deeper intimacy. Her nervous system is busy scanning for threats, but when you're calm under pressure, consistent in your actions, reliable in your presence, her body feels free. That's when intimacy becomes effortless. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." For women, your ability to control your inner world signals whether she can trust you with hers. If you're ruled by anger, jealousy, or fear, she feels unstable. But grounded, steady, calm energy makes her instinctively lean in. Stability doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean millions in the bank or never showing emotion. It means you don't collapse under pressure. You don't make her carry your life's weight. She sees you can handle your world, and that allows her to relax into hers. Here's something powerful. When her body feels safe, desire naturally increases. This isn't manipulation, it's biology. Her nervous system, hormones, and subconscious all respond to stability. Women often describe the most attractive men not just as handsome, but as solid. She may not say stability, but that's what she means. Compare that with instability. A man who blows up in anger, doubts himself constantly, or treats life like chaos may spark temporary excitement, but he won't hold her. Over time, her attraction fades because she can't fully trust him. Her body resists surrender. The irony: many men chase women with big gestures, money, or attention, but ignore what matters most: stability. You don't need fireworks if you offer calm skies. Live with order. Have discipline. Manage your emotions. Take care of responsibilities. Doing so sends a silent, powerful message. I am stable. You're safe here. That alone is more attractive than any fancy line or date. Ask yourself honestly, when she looks at you, does she see a grounded man or one easily shaken? If you know stability is the real foundation of attraction, write this in the comments. I am steady. Here's the truth. Stability builds trust, but trust alone isn't enough. To keep her attention, you need something more. The ability to awaken her emotions in ways she can't ignore. And that's exactly what we'll dive into next. Number 7. Age shifts her deepest motivators. Here's a truth men rarely stop to consider. What drives a woman's intimacy at 25 is not the same as at 45 or 55. Attraction evolves with age, experience, and life stage. Ignore that, and you'll misread her signals every time. But if you understand it, you'll see clearly what truly pulls her toward a man. Take Tom, 59, a successful contractor from Ohio. After his divorce, he started dating again and met Laura, 52, a nurse. At first, Tom tried the same approach he used in his 30s: lavish dates, physical compliments, playful energy. It worked on younger women years ago, but with Laura, it fell flat. She didn't seem impressed by the flash. What drew her in was deeper: his stability, emotional steadiness, and vision for the future. For Laura, intimacy at this stage of life wasn't just about excitement. It was about knowing she was safe with a man who wouldn't disappear when things got real. This is common. In younger years, many women are driven more by curiosity, novelty, and raw chemistry. They want to explore, feel passion, and experience desire in its most immediate form. But as women age, those motives shift. Security, emotional connection, and a sense of shared direction start to outweigh the thrill of the unknown. That doesn't mean passion disappears. Far from it.
but passion now flows stronger when paired with trust and depth. A woman in her 40s or 50s often craves a man who can ground her, not one who keeps her guessing. The wild spark that excited her at 20 may now feel like instability, and instability is a turnoff. Here's where many men get frustrated. They assume she doesn't want intimacy anymore, but she does. It's just that the gateway has changed. Her body still responds, but to different triggers. Instead of the adrenaline rush of chaos, it's the calm confidence of a man who knows who he is and what he wants. Tom discovered this the hard way. Once he stopped performing and focused on being steady, attentive, and intentional, Laura began to lean in. She became more affectionate, more open, and more passionate. Not because he chased her, but because he aligned with what she valued most at her age: real safety, real connection, and a man who had his life in order. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That wisdom applies perfectly here. A woman's age changes what she values, but how you respond to that truth determines whether you thrive or fail in relationships. If you insist on using strategies from decades ago, you'll fall behind. If you adapt and understand that her motives deepen with age, you'll stand out as rare. So here's the lesson. Don't treat every woman as if she's driven by the same things. Recognize where she is in life. See that her desires shift from surface-level thrills to meaningful intimacy. When you meet her there, you unlock a connection younger men can't provide. If you've ever noticed how attraction changes with age, write this in the comments. I understand change. And here's what you need to know. Once you grasp how age shifts her motives, you'll see the deeper patterns behind intimacy. But there's another layer many men miss. What happens when those motives aren't met? That's exactly where we're going next. Number 8. Emotional neglect kills desire fast. If there's one thing that drains a woman's attraction faster than anything else, it's emotional neglect. You can buy gifts, take her on trips, even provide financial security, but if you consistently fail to meet her emotional needs, her desire for you fades faster than you can imagine. Why? Because intimacy for women is built on more than just physical connection. Her body responds to how safe, valued, and emotionally seen she feels. When that isn't there, she withdraws, sometimes quietly, sometimes all at once. The physical side slows because the emotional foundation has been weakened. Think about it. A man who doesn't listen, dismisses her feelings, or treats her presence as an afterthought communicates one message: you're not important. Once she starts to feel invisible, attraction dies. Desire can't survive where neglect lives. The Stoics understood this dynamic, even if they didn't talk about romance directly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." For relationships, that means stop talking about love and start showing it. Emotional neglect isn't always loud. It's often the quiet absence of attention, empathy, and presence. And those absences build up until she no longer feels drawn to you. Here's the tricky part. Many men don't even realize they're neglecting her emotionally. They think providing financially or solving problems is enough. But women often see emotional connection as the core of intimacy. It's not about fixing, it's about being present. When she shares something, she doesn't always need a solution. She needs you to listen, acknowledge, and make her feel she matters. When that doesn't happen, she begins to protect herself. She may stay in the relationship out of obligation, comfort, or fear of change, but her body won't respond the same way. Passion turns into routine, intimacy feels like a chore, and she quietly disconnects. From there, resentment grows. Now here's the opportunity. When you do pay attention emotionally, the opposite happens. She feels secure, cherished, and open. Her desire rises naturally. If you've ever seen emotional neglect kill attraction, write this in the comments. I am present. And remember, consistent emotional care fuels passion in ways gifts and gestures never can. Her desire flows naturally because her emotions and her body are aligned.
And you don't need to be perfect, just consistent. A small touch, genuine eye contact, a few words of acknowledgement. These things reignite her attraction far more effectively than expensive gestures. The cost of ignoring this truth is high. Emotional neglect doesn't just hurt her, it weakens your entire bond. Without emotional intimacy, physical intimacy becomes hollow. And when that happens, both of you suffer. So the real question is, are you present in her world or just physically next to her? If you understand how powerful emotional presence is, write this in the comments. I stay present. And here's the thing, knowing that neglect kills desire is only half the battle. The other half is recognizing the signals early before the damage becomes permanent. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. Number 9. Presence and attention create obsession. If you want to understand what really pulls a woman in, here it is. Your presence and attention are the strongest tools you have. Not your looks, not your money, not even your charm. It's how you show up and make her feel like she's the only person in the room. That's what sticks in her mind long after you're gone. Let's make it real. David, 56, from Arizona, had been casually dating after years of focusing on his career. He met Sandra, 51, a woman who had seen her share of relationships and wasn't easily impressed. At first, she kept her guard up, unsure if David was just another man wanting attention without offering much in return. But what caught her off guard wasn't anything dramatic. It was how present he was when they were together. When Sandra talked, David didn't half listen while checking his phone. He looked her in the eyes, responded thoughtfully, and remembered details she mentioned weeks earlier. He wasn't performing. He was genuinely present. And for Sandra, that focus felt rare, almost intoxicating. She found herself craving more of his time, not because of what he gave her materially, but because his attention made her feel seen, valued, and important. This is the secret most men miss. Women become obsessed not with the man who tries to impress, but with the man who can hold space for them. Presence is power, and when paired with attention, real, undistracted attention, it becomes magnetic. But here's where many men fail. They confuse attention with over-attention. Flooding her with texts, constant compliments, or following her every move doesn't create desire, it kills it. Why? Because that kind of attention comes from neediness, the type that says, "I need you to validate me." Real attention comes from strength. It's calm, steady, and intentional. You're not chasing, you're choosing. Think about the last time someone gave you their full attention. No phone, no distractions, just focus. It felt good, didn't it? That's how women feel when a man offers presence. And it's even stronger romantically because it hits both emotional and biological triggers. Her body relaxes, her emotions heighten, and her desire begins to anchor itself to you. This doesn't mean you have to hang on every word or play therapist. It means something simple. When you're with her, be with her. Let your focus tell her you matter. That one message is more powerful than any line or gesture. David learned this firsthand. Sandra started reaching out more, planning time together, and opening up emotionally in ways she hadn't before. Why? Because his attention was rare, and rarity breeds value. When a man shows up fully, women remember. It becomes addictive. Not because he's flashy, but because he's steady and present in a way most men aren't. The key takeaway: don't underestimate the power of simply being there. Presence is what turns ordinary moments into unforgettable ones. If you understand how powerful presence is, write this in the comments. I give presence, and here's the truth. Presence and attention create obsession, but what sustains it is something deeper. The final piece is about more than how you show up in moments. It's about the kind of man you become when the moment passes. That's what we'll uncover in the last part. Number 10. Stoic strength keeps passion alive. If there's one quality that keeps a woman coming back long after the first rush of attraction fades, it's strength, the kind rooted in self-control, emotional discipline, and quiet confidence. This isn't the loud, aggressive kind of strength that burns out quickly. It's the calm, steady presence of a man who lives by principle, not impulse. In other words, it's stoic strength. Here's why it matters. Women may be drawn to excitement in the short term, but what sustains passion over years isn't chaos, it's certainty. A man who can't manage his emotions, who lashes out in anger or collapses under stress, might be fun for a season, but he won't inspire lasting desire. Over time, unpredictability turns from thrilling to exhausting. What women crave in the long run is the opposite, a man who remains centered no matter what life throws his way. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free," and that bravery isn't about picking fights or chasing danger. It's about the courage to master yourself. A man who controls his own mind and emotions radiates security. He doesn't need to demand respect, he earns it. That steady composure makes a woman feel something rare in today's world, safe enough to stay passionate without fear that everything will collapse around her. Think about how intimacy actually works. Passion is fueled by polarity, the tension between masculine and feminine energy. But polarity can't thrive if the masculine side is unstable. When a man is easily shaken, the woman feels forced into the role of stability, and that destroys attraction. But when he is calm, centered, and consistent, her feminine side is free to express itself fully. She can lean into desire because he gives her something solid to lean on. This doesn't mean being cold or detached. Stoic strength isn't about shutting down emotions, it's about mastering them. It means you don't let anger control you, you don't let jealousy consume you, and you don't let fear dictate your actions. You feel those emotions, but you choose how to respond. That choice is where real strength lives, and it's exactly what keeps passion alive in a relationship. Here's the surprising part. Women don't necessarily want a man who's perfect or unshakable. What they want is a man who's dependable, a man who can face setbacks without crumbling, who can disagree without disrespect, and who can remain calm even in conflict. That steadiness creates trust, and trust is the soil where passion can grow again and again, even after years together. Modern relationships often fail because men chase intensity instead of strength. They think passion comes from being louder, bolder, or more dramatic. But passion that lasts comes from the opposite: restraint, discipline, and clarity. It comes from being the man who doesn't need to prove his worth every second, because his very presence proves it. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the essence of Stoic attraction. A man who lives this way not only commands respect, he keeps a woman's passion alive, because she knows she can count on him when life is beautiful and when it's brutal. At the end of the day, Stoic strength is what transforms attraction into obsession and chemistry into lasting connection. It's what keeps her desiring you, not just in the first months, but through the years. And once you embrace it, you stop chasing passion and start creating it every single day. Now you understand the hidden reasons why women choose intimacy, reasons that go way beyond surface attraction. It's not just about looks or money. It's about emotional safety, presence, novelty, stability, and the way a man shows up with strength. When you start seeing relationships through this lens, you stop wasting time on guesswork. You stop chasing. You start leading with clarity, calm, and control. The things women truly can't resist. If this video gave you value, make sure to hit that subscribe button. This channel is for men who choose to live with discipline, purpose, and power. And if you're ready to step into Stoic strength today, write this in the comments: I embrace strength. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.